Now, I just wanted to give you a quick introduction and lay the foundation for our integration COE team to continue with the rest of the presentation. So this is what we are trying to achieve here as a special topic, right? So let me share my screen. Okay, hope you guys can see my screen.
Yeah.
All right. So as most of you PMs know that, we are following SGP process, though I'm showing the waterfall, we also have agile version of it. The idea is, but we want to engage multiple teams, all the teams that contribute to the success of a project. We want to bring them well ahead in the game so that we become well aware of what needs to be done from those teams' perspective also, what documents to be prepared, what reviews to be done, what approvals to be given. So finally, when the project is going through its life cycle, it is over-encompassing, that it is taking all the teams together. They're all contributing to the success of the project, right? So we are trying to capture that sort of an interaction into a swim lane concept. So this is in draft mode yet. I'm not publishing it, but I'm trying to bring an attention of viewers to here that we are trying to bring the swim lanes for each of these teams. As you can see, the PMO team has a swim lane, CSRC team, our security team has a swim lane. ICOE is also having a swim lane. Right now, this is TCOE, the Testing Center of Excellence. Moving on to the next one, which is the other teams. Integration team has filled their team, the task, right? Starting from the very beginning of the project or even the create concept. They want to have certain tasks addressed, interacted with the ICOE team, so that we start taking the picture of what needs to be done from an integration perspective, right? If your project is not having any integrations, even then interact with them once you explain the scope, because they are their expertise, they will be able to give ideas, the different type of solutions for some of your projects. So the idea is to bring in these teams as special topic owners. So today we have the Integration Center of Excellence, headed by Bindu, who was our boss, before the reorg came in. But so she is heading that ICOE. Now that team is really, really well settled in terms of their tasks, their workflows, the interactions with the project team. So I would like to hand over now to ICOE team. Bindu, maybe you would like to introduce your team and then they can carry on with the rest of the presentation.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ryan. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining. So like Naren set it up, integration COE specifically focusing on the MuleSoft technology. We also have JAMS technology in the integration COE, as well as whoever uses SAP XI technology should all fall under the integration COE. You should have this slide up, Naren. I think that's what we're
I will do it.
Yeah, Umesh is.
Okay.
I'm going to share it.
So Umesh and Raj are the key leaders from the integration COE team who are going to walk you through what are the deliverables per stage. So I think I'll stop here. I want to see what questions people come up with. So go ahead, take it away, Umesh and Raj.
Okay. Yeah, very good afternoon, everyone. I think as everybody expressed, the purpose of this call is to kind of walk through how the integration deliverables are aligned through the stage gate process. What I'm sharing here is the waterfall model related deliverables, and we have a slide for the agile. So the concept here is we want to align our tasks deliverables with the stage gate process. So when we started our COE last year in a full-fledged manner, we took the PMO's process and we mapped our detailed task list. And if you go to the source page, I'm going to call everybody's attention here. There is a place called project execution process. If you're not aware of it, I will share the link here. For each of these stage gate, we have defined the steps. So that details are here. Today, we're not going to go through this. We just want to call out saying the details exist here. And what you will see here is we took those details and we took key milestones from those tasks and we attached it to the stage gate as a part of the gating criteria. So let's walk through the project life cycle as a whole, starting when the concept is created. We request the project teams to involve the integration COE. The exact deal is mentioned, and what we would be working with you, the project team, is to identify the integration inventory. So we're going to basically say, these are 5, 10, 12 integrations that we need, that the project needs. And we will work with you to assign a consultant from COE. That's basically what we do. As the project moves into develop business case, we will help estimate the integrations at a very high level. You will see that there is an estimate integration here and one at the later stage. This is a very high level estimate. We have certain internal rules and logic to come up with the estimation. So basically, we'll help you with the BCCT form to complete the integration portion of it. So the data from create concept basically flows into this. Once we get the BCCT approval, when the project moves into the project initiation, depending on your model, whether you have a SI or others, or it's being done in-house, the COE team will help you with a couple of items, two major. One is around the requirements. We will help you review the requirements, understand, make sure that there is a integration perspective, and we have created our own templates for those requirements. We'll work with the PM to make sure the requirements are full-fledged. And not only that, we will also start the road mapping session. When should the integration flow? What is the best way to get data? And as we go through the develop initial design phase, we go through a formal architectural approval. Here we bring together all the source system, target system, CSRC, various other teams, and we go through a formal ERB approval. This will make sure that there are no surprises when we go live. We want to get all the concerned party aligned and find any risk up front. And
hey, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Can you zoom in on your thing? It's really hard to read this.
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good. Let me know. I have a bigger screen, so I'm not.
Yeah. Actually, if they go into the presentation mode and get rid of the left side to small windows, it might be better realized. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So here you will see that we're going through the architectural approval. And if the projects are going through RFI, RFPs, what we have, again, based on our various lessons learned, is that COE helps in formulating the RFP scope, validate the SOW, make sure the assumptions are correct, make sure the estimates that the SI gives are in line with what we have seen in other places. And also, if there are any risks, we kind of work with the project managers and the leaders of the project. Again, our involvement would be primarily around the integration, but certain areas will overlap with the general development per se. And our goal here is to make sure that from an integration perspective, the stories are well written, and then we are ready to start the design. Once we go to the design stage, we help the SIs or the development teams, whoever it may be, with design approvals. So before we go to the design approval, the COE has very well-defined standards, best practices, and in some cases, mandates and policies. For example, CSRC has some mandated policies based on the integration pattern we have. So all those are available in the source. If the SI is not aware, we educate the SI, make sure they know all this is there, and we handhold them, and we make sure that the development team designs the integration in accordance to our standards. That's something that we have started focusing a lot, especially in the last 1 year. And here again, we bring in different systems, source system, target system, CSRC, etc. And it's a common design approval. The problem that we had in the past with integration was the project team had to go and get approval from different teams. We have eliminated that, and we are bringing everybody together and going through reviewing the design end to end. We may still need to go through individual systems, but the overall integration, architecture, and design is approved together. And we then help the team to re-estimate the integration, because at this stage, compared to the estimates we have got to what we have here, we know a lot more details, because many times the design will introduce a lot more development activities. We want to make sure that we re-estimate and then we re-baseline. Sometimes we push certain parts of the user story to backlog, and some we pull it in. Again, we work with the PMs to make sure that the scope is well defined. And as the project goes through the direct and manage phase, this is where we first provide the developers with a detailed checklist. You know, what we have seen is many a time from SIs, they do the coding, it works, passes the test, but the quality of the code isn't good. So that's what we are trying to address it. As the developer is onboarded, we give them our best practices. Along with that, we give them a critical code review checklist. The expectation is that the developer should code according to the code review checklist. And before it goes into the QA environment, we do a code review checklist. We make sure it is done. If certain things are not done, we don't give approval to move from dev to QA. Then after we deployed in QA, before it goes into staging, we go through a go live checklist. It is basically a simulation of what we will do in production. For example, CSRC has mandated us to not share passwords, use CI/CD. So there is a list of checklist we ask the team to follow, and these are available upfront. So the developers or the project team should not be surprised. They will get this information upfront. And that once that approval is done, that is when we allow the team to go into the staging environment. And again, the last one before going to production, we are working with the PMO to align with the PA process, where we have enhanced the template of PA forms to include integrations. Again, same logic as here, add on to the PMO process, but add an integration related, checklist. And then we align ourselves to go to cutover. And the last stage here is after we go live, we want to make sure the exchange is nothing but where somebody can search for an API. We want to make sure those are searchable, so that if some other project want to build or enhance, we are reusing the APIs, and then we start moving into KPIs. This is like, I would say, the list of various milestones or gating criteria before you go from one stage to the other. Any questions so far on the waterfall model? We have a similar one for the Agile. The deliverables are the same, the templates are the same, but the way we do it is slightly different based on more. It is Agile in nature. Any questions so far? I'll quickly go through the Agile after the questions.
Hi, this is Alan Atwood. I have a general question. I don't know if this is the right point, so just tell me if you want to put it off. I'm curious about how within the integrations team, resource allocation, things like cycle times between these different stages and relative prioritization are handled. Because I assume you're sitting, receiving lots of requests. And I'm curious about that as a dovetail into how we map out our projects and their schedules.
Bill, you want to address this, please?
Yeah, sure. So, sure. So Alan, there is an email. If you click on these links, the hyperlinks that we have here, right? It will take you to the detailed source pages on source that elaborate on each one of these. Like our architecture review board, there is a full write-up page that can tell you here is the email ID you should send the request to. Typically, someone from COE will get back to you in a couple of days and schedule it. The scheduling might take a little bit of time because typically these reviews invite up 7, 8, 9, 10 people, right? Some from networks, some from SAP, some from other source or target systems and security and stuff. So it may take a little bit of time to schedule it, but it's not like you would have to wait days, weeks, or anything like that. And feel free to reach out to that email alias, send a reminder if you haven't heard back. But typically, people have been trying to respond back very quickly within a day or so.
Okay,
And
and-
the other part, Alan, is the very first column you see, assignment of integration COE consultant. This is very important because that way someone from COE is aware of what's happening in the project, and they don't just get an email. Instead of that, they already have a full context and they understand the timelines, the deadlines, the other constraints that the project might have. So they will drive the COE team to do the right things already if they have that whole context and the knowledge.
Okay, so I guess this would be a very early stage piece of communication that we as project managers would be making, and we would look for the cycle to work itself out and identify the timelines ahead of creating our schedule, our overall schedule.
Yes, I think earlier where we have seen a lot of success in the projects is the projects where they've involved integration COE very early, like create concept or at the earliest possible. I think we've seen more synergy and coordination, and the effectiveness of COE increases considerably. So please include us at the earliest possible opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Umesh, I would like to add one more point.
Oh,
Sorry, Bindu. So it will be very helpful because COE team knows what are the existing integrations. That when during the concept creation, if we know the requirement, even at the very high level, we know what we have already available, even for a POC. So COE team can help quickly with the project team, and also we will get prepared for the upcoming project.
got it. So we are supposed to be reaching out to the COE team for all the integration related requirements on the project, including XI also?
yeah, that was going to be my question. That
Yeah, so certainly for MuleSoft, this is the process and we are following it very, very strictly. Any MuleSoft work must go through that. Any XI work, I want to know what that is because again, Shobha and I have multiple of, Shrisha, you were in one of the conversations, right? So we are trying to figure out how to move away from XI, bring things over to MuleSoft, but it won't happen overnight. So my expectation is nothing new is going into XI unless there is a very special need. One of them I'm considering right now. So, but any integration work with any technology you are doing, please inform the COE, and then we may have to have some conversations on the XI side because that's not the default course of action. Default course is to go MuleSoft route and follow this process. If you feel a need or don't know if you could use XI, pull me into a discussion, or Raj or Umesh will be happy to jump in and have a conversation with you and figure out what needs to be done early on in the create concept phase itself.
So I think maybe part of the assignment of the integration COE consultant, that should be their analysis that they do upfront, whether point the project team to SAP XI or, based on the requirements, maybe it's MuleSoft or JAMS or whatever. So that, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And we already have.
sorry, one more thing. We did add a question specifically in the BCCT form also now. So there is an explicit question asking, hey, do you expect integrations, and if so, which technology? So we're just trying to bring that question up front, shifting it left as much as possible, so that it's not like we have funding approved and suddenly we realize that there is this technology to be used and stuff, which typically has created problems. So yes, start early and involve the COE early.
Yeah, we're going to highlight that piece in our next session, next topic.
Okay.
Mhm.
One thing, Bindu, so right now, the MuleSoft was built a certain level of interfaces. Is it going to be expanded to handle and growing need of MuleSoft interfaces? Because from what I've been hearing, there's some performance issues. So is that part of the roadmap for MuleSoft, as well as handling those other scenarios that we talked about?
So I'm not aware of any known performance issues, Shobha. What are you hearing?
Okay. All right. I'll find out and get back to you.
Yeah, find out and share that. We are not aware of anything known, but yes, we have to sort of consider performance as a first-class citizen and always be testing. So I always advise any project that's using it to include performance testing early on in the project and not just leave it as the last thing that gets done, right? Because then it's too late if there's a problem. So yes, as a good software development practice, we really need to be bringing in performance testing sooner. And I'm working with Kate's team as well on that. But that aside, we are not aware of anything known in terms of a performance issue at this point. A number of applications have used MuleSoft and they're all running fine.
Okay.
And for Service Corp, if that's what you were referring to, and yes, I'm not aware of any big demand coming in there, but that is an exercise I'm doing to really assess what can we expect for Service Corp applications in terms of the need for integration technology. So that will be in the next few weeks and months. That demand would be known, and based on that, we can determine if we are setting up a brand new instance or not. So that is an exercise in the works.
So currently, just for the people on the call, I don't know if you mentioned it already about the utility interfaces only, or are we letting the people know now, or?
So I think I considered that, and then that's when I stopped. I don't want people to think that if it is non-utility, I'm just doing whatever they want. The first, just put the slide back, please. The first step of including the COE consultant is super critical anytime you have any integration need. And that discussion will tell us if MuleSoft is good for you, move forward with this process. If there is a scenario that MuleSoft is not good for you because whatever might be the reasons we'll come up with, then at least you have engaged the COE and it becomes a decision that gets taken formally and not just gets pitched out kind of a thing. So
okay,
just
so
as
the decision that the COE consultant will share.
Right.
Project.
As a rule, if you have integration in the project, you are coming to COE to have that first level of discussion. And in most of the cases, we'll go the MuleSoft route. If there is a special scenario, we'll have that discussion and make a conscious decision there.
And Bindu, that is for new interfaces, right? If we are going to add a field or change something in an existing interface that is already in XI, then SAP already has the ADR process where they review the design of the projects. So we're going to go that route. Any new interface requirements have to be vetted out for a technology solution by the integration COE team. Is that right? I mean,
Shirisha, if this is a minor change, I generally have said, yes, you can go ahead with XI, but more and more we are also starting to look at how do we move, otherwise we'll always be stuck in like two boats, right? So I want to be informed and so that discussion can take place. If there are 15 interfaces and you're just making minor changes to 15 interfaces, that overall it becomes a much bigger change. If it was one field you were adding, that's a different conversation. So again, it all depends on what is that change. Bring the conversation to me, and then it will be a more informed conversation as to what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what is the business impact, and all of that.
All right. Got it, Bindu. Yeah, understood. We just kicked off a project where we may need a few minor changes, but definitely, yeah, we'll reach out to you guys.
Let's talk.
Bindu,
Yeah.
this is Ganesh here from SAP PM team again, responsible for SAP XI as well.
Hey, Ganesh.
I just wanted to make sure, like, do we have any official communication sent on this? Like, all the new interfaces need to follow or need to be discussed for MuleSoft at this point in time, and SAP XI should not be part of that discussion. Like, any organizational-wise guidelines as such were issued?
So this is not new, Ganesh. MuleSoft was picked up as the integration technology more than a year ago. And since then, we have been using it, but the specific to know about here is I think we have more than 100 or so APIs now on the platform, are all coming from utility organization, PSE&G. The platform is owned by PSE&G. So far, the Service Corp applications have not come up with any need other than the one we just talked about, was it this week or last week? So that was the first one that came from Service Corp. So I said earlier that I'm now doing a demand analysis to see if there are more Service Corp applications that might have this need. In the last 1 year, there were none. So now, with this one coming in, I'm also doing a broader analysis of what else to expect. Are there 5 more coming in the next month or in 6 months and so, and that way we can have a plan put together that we need another instance, or we need a way to share, or some creative way of perhaps as well.
So Bindu, as part of that assessment,
But the strategy of using MuleSoft was rolled out more than a year ago, and it has been constantly getting communicated.
so
I think I'll,
part of this. Oh, go ahead, Ganesh. Sorry.
that's fine, Shobha. I think I'll talk with Jim as well on that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, Bindu, I think we need to have a little more conversation around the setup of the instance and all that, and possibly maybe looking at the SAP integration, cloud integration platform. Maybe that's another option if we're going towards HANA. The migration from SAP XI to the so we need to have
just so that we don't confuse the PMs. Just follow what Umesh said. Any kind of integration, please follow that slide. The very first step is engage a COE consultant, and we'll guide you from there. For MuleSoft, you have to follow that. There are these side conversations happening because there's always so much outside there. We'll deal with that separately. PMs, please follow whatever Naren's and Umesh's slide said.
Yep, I think any other questions, I think now either you can reach out to EPMO team or directly the ICOE team. Now we should be able to provide you with all the information. I just shared the main link on the chat box, where we can start, you can reach that and then look around for the future references, how to interact with the ICOE team members, etc. Okay. I think that's a good discussion. Thank you, Bindu, and the ICOE team for giving us the taste of the special topic integration, and how the team should be aware of engaging integration team way ahead in the game, so that no hiccups are there under the later part of the project. Okay, so we really appreciate your help, your presentation. Okay, and yep, thank you. Yep, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so with that as our first topic, we are moving on to the second topic, where we are going to give you more detailed approach to business case, right? You know, we have been getting a lot of feedback from the PMs and the GPMs about the process, how the business case works, though it has been much publicized, much used around already in our IT faculty. But still, we want to have inner details and how to do it. So Salita, my team member, is going to present you with the business case document and also a job aid that we created and going to share with all of you, which goes field by field, line by line, what it means and what to enter in that, and that would help you in that, okay? So when appropriate time comes, I'll pitch in and try to explain you the topic 1, what we went through today, the special topic 1, integration COE, getting interacted way in the first stage of the project itself. Okay, and what is the value that we are bringing in at that point, etc. Okay, Salita, over to you. Salita, you're on mute.
Great, thank you, Naren. I appreciate that.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second segment of today's training. This is the first training in the new IT EPMO how-to series. These series will be designed to provide a more tactical perspective, training perspective, to walk PMs through how to complete certain activities. So the first of which is completing the business case document. So this is our typical rules of engagement. If you would, please share your questions in the chat, and my operations colleague will be fielding your questions and answering those in the chat. Anything that cannot be addressed in the chat, we will compile and either address them at the end of the session, or we will provide follow-up to answer any questions. Here's our agenda today. In 30 minutes, we're going, or less than 30 minutes, we're going to look at our objective, where you can find the document template, how you complete the document template. We'll talk about reviews and approvals, document communications, and how you should maintain your documents and where they should be stored. And then we'll reserve a bit of time at the end for Q&A. Let me mention here that this topic is scheduled for an hour on May the 10th during our GPM PM forum, where we will have more time to do that deep dive into that how to reference document that Naren just mentioned. So we'll touch on that briefly, but we will review it in depth during our 1-hour session. Here are the objectives of our training today. The objective of the create the business case document how-to training is to orient PMs to the template document, provide content clarity, and communicate expectations around the document quality. So by now, you've seen this slide in your new PM training, and it is referenced in just about all of our training sessions. So you should be real familiar with this, but to the point Naren made earlier, we are constantly working to make it a fuller and more complete reference document. So look for updates to this document in the future. And here is where you are right now in the SGP process. You, at this point, would have created the preliminary work to provide a foundation for your business case during the create concept phase, and you are ready to move into the develop business case phase. And there's a note that this was formerly referred to as a press release. So you might see the term press release referenced in maybe ServiceNow or older documents. So just be aware that those two terms are interchangeable. So where do you find the template? All of our templates are located at the IT EPMO SharePoint site. This particular template is located in the Tools and Templates folder. and then you would navigate to the business case BCCT template document within that folder. So now that you know where the template is located, what's next? We are ready to prepare the business case. The first thing you want to always do is download the latest version of the template document. And as I mentioned earlier, we're constantly working to refine the templates, make them easier to reference, easier to understand. And as Bindu mentioned earlier, they just requested, the COE team, the integration COE team, requested that their question be included in the template. So to ensure that you have access to the latest and the greatest, always download a document, a copy of the template, always use a fresh copy. As a practice, don't use a copy that you've leveraged previously. So you'll want to fill in that local copy of the template document. And once you get it in a drafted state, you will have gathered enough information to place your demand in a qualified state at this point. Right here is where I intended to navigate to the reference document, and I will do that briefly, but in 30 minutes, we won't have an opportunity to go into the level of detail that Naren and I intended, but I will go ahead and share this document immediately. I see a couple questions in the chat. Let me check those. I think we're fine there.
Yeah, we are good.
Let me share this.
Keep going.
Okay, great. Thank you. So here is the reference document that will be available to you, and you'll see it at the top, how to complete the business case document. You have some process guidelines here that we won't read through today. We will go immediately to the document content. And what we've worked to do is for each one of the fields, you will see an explanation of what content is expected in that field. So your demand number, you're expected to create a demand in ServiceNow, and you'll note that there's a hyperlink to create a press release at the source. So as I mentioned earlier, creating a demand and a press release, those terms are interchangeable. We will have another segment, how-to segment, on creating a demand in ServiceNow as a later topic. So I am going to navigate down to the point that Bindu made earlier, that there are questions that have been requested for inclusion by teams external to the IT EPMO. So this is where you answer the questions here. Typically, what we recommend is that you have one business case review meeting, but you may not able to have all those resources in one meeting. If that's the case, then please do reach out to individual teams to be sure that they have visibility of your business case and they let you know if there's any associated impact. That way you can roll any related costs into your business case so that you have a fully developed business case.
So here, just I want to take a minute to explain the importance of these teams, right? So we have put a mandatory thing like every question in this need to be answered, like yes or no. If it is a no, we want to know why it is a no and why the project management project team thinks they need not interact with that particular team. But in all probabilities, please talk to the team. The reason is we have observed over a period of last 2-3 years that the projects have progressed to design stage and the development stage. At that point, suddenly they found there is a requirement from one of these teams was not addressed, was not considered, and that put the project completely off the rail. Right? Either the cost has gone up or the schedule has gone beyond the expected committed delivery date and causing all sorts of issues. So it's better, and it's the good intention that engage these teams way in the beginning of the project, right? Even the concept level, talk to the teams, understand their requirements, absorb their effort, and then build the cost estimates. So your cost is a lot more realistic and over, like I say, including all these teams' effort, and you don't miss anything at a later point of time, and that can cause a hiccup to the project and also a possible derailing of the project, right? So the business case document, please take it very seriously, look at every line, every question, and fill up the data properly. Because what you enter here is going to turn into your cost estimates, and those cost estimates will be held accountable by to the GPMs and PMs when they come back next time for a PCR or a justification document asking for more funds. Okay, so that's for the importance of it. That's where you see the teams have been, or a lot of teams have come in now: business case, disaster recovery, ICOE, TCOE, RRC. But it is all with good intention, not to complicate things, but to engage the teams into the project life cycle. Okay, go ahead, Salita. Thanks.
Great. Thank you for reiterating that, Naren. And as I mentioned earlier, on May the 10th, please join us as we will go through this document, this how-to document, field by field. So with 15 minutes remaining, I am going to go back to our presentation. I hope that I haven't frozen. Right. I'm going to go back to our presentation. And in the May 10th training session, we will navigate through the document completely. But for today, let's talk real quickly about what's next. Once your business case is completed, you've met with the teams, you've gathered their feedback and determined if there's any cost impact to fully develop your business case. Now that you've fully developed that,
Did we lose Salita? Looks like we lost her. Aarti, do you have that presentation? You can bring up, I can take it up till Salita joins. Okay, while we are waiting for Salita to join back, let me also bring one important topic here, accountability and ownership of this document, right? So the business case document is the first document that you are going to consolidate the high-level business requirements that were discussed with the business, and then interactions with the project teams, interaction with the external teams, and then bringing out the cost estimates that flows into the business case, right? All this is the responsibility of the project team. Now, I'm not specifically bringing out any role, because by this time, you may or may not be there on the project as a PM. But definitely the GPM and product owner are available at that time, because they are the ones, like product owner initiates the business requirement, and then GPM is the one first who will be contacted by the product owner in order to understand who will be able to do this project, etc. So the proposal, when it comes in, the idea of the proposal, the possible solution, cost estimates, effort estimation, all will be done at this stage by the project team, okay? So you own it, and also the project team becomes responsible to provide quality document. Please do not leave any field or any line over there unattended, okay? If you have not done that activity, it is better that you finish that activity, provide and have full clarity of that particular line or task before you present the document to SLT, okay? We are there to help you with the document and explain you what that field means, but we are not responsible for the content of the document, right? Let us say, for example, you have taken 15% of the risk and contingency. So you are responsible to explain why 15% and why not, more or less. And what is the rationale behind that 15% risk and contingency? And also to understand why this is called capital and not O&M, or vice versa. So the quality of the document is the responsibility of the project team. The template, the help, the process-wise, how to present it to the senior leadership team on a BCCT day, we can help you with all those things, okay? This is a subtle shift in terms of providing the document to the senior leadership. And number two, you are directly presenting it to the BCCT. So it's your responsibility to present it the best quality possible with the least amount of confusion on the document. Because senior leadership team wants a clear presentation, and then they can give their verdict on it, approved or not approved. All the details better keep in hand so that when they ask questions, you are able to answer. You can bring in as many team members as possible. You can bring in business people to explain the importance of that business requirement. You can bring in your technical SME if it's available to explain the solution. And also the GPM would be there to explain the various components that have gone into the business case. Okay. So we just wanted to bring that importance of this document to get started in the beginning of the project, and the importance of various teams that should be engaged at the beginning itself. Okay. And second thing, what I wanted to bring out very clearly is that if you are thinking about, or a business requirement came to your team, please start immediately addressing these requirements that are mentioned in the business case. It may take some time, so give yourself enough time to go through these interactions, reviews with the teams. No, you can't hurry up like, you get it yesterday and today morning you want to go to BCCT. That's not going to happen, because you will be asked multiple questions and should be able to answer them. So think ahead of the game. Start your reviews and interaction with the teams. Approach the IT PMO team for the available slot. We have monthly once BCCT, but we are accommodating an additional BCCT meeting in Q2, right? Like in April, we have 2, in May, we have 2, in June, we're planning one more in addition to the regular one, because there are a lot of projects that are coming in the Q2 time frame. And we want to provide that, the advantage of having additional BCCT. But the slots get filled very fast, so you better approach PMO team and book your slot, so you don't see that, oh my God, I missed it and I had to wait 15 days more to get to my next BCCT meeting, right? So this is all a proactive approach. We want to make sure and inform you way ahead of time that you are proactively approaching the BC. Consider this is a very, very important step. It will not be that difficult if you think about it ahead and then start the activity a bit ahead of the time. Give yourself enough time to do it. As one of the questions said, when should we start this? If PM is not there on the project, who would be responsible? The BC document should be created way ahead. Like as soon as the business case is proposed by the product owner or the sponsor to the GPM or to the PM, if he's aware, you should start thinking about a business case document. Number two, if the PM is not assigned, there's every possibility that PM may not be assigned by that time, then the GPM who is interacting with the business would be responsible to carry on the task. Okay, so he should be the one downloading the business case document and start preparing it. I think that's a very much a practical issue, that PMs are not assigned by then until the project is approved and created in service now. We understand that, but I think GPMs also understand that importance of the activity that we are trying to talk here. Okay, so I think overall you got a picture of the business case and the job aid that we are planning to create and roll it out for your reference. Meanwhile, if you have any suggestions or any questions, you can reach out to us through the PMO mailbox. Then we will be able to answer you with the clarity on the details. Okay, as Salita mentioned, we have 1 hour session coming up with the GPM PM forum, where we will be going deep diving into creation of a demand, how to move the demand from one stage to the other, and where it should be when you are submitting the business case. What are the deviations or the exceptions? One of the exceptions like URB approved. Why do we have to come again for BCCT, right? If the client is funding the project, why BCCT again? When should be the BCCT given for what type of projects? So you can ask all these questions, and whatever the clarity you need, we can provide after deep diving into the business case creation, etc. So just to inform you, we are coming up with more how-to documents, which will be more practical in nature, so that you can read them, you can just look at them, and step by step, those procedures will be available to you. Like, for example, somebody is having a doubt on how to create, let's say, a procurement request, right? So we are trying to create a job aid there, how to create RITM, and what needs to be considered, where to go and get additional reference material, etc., etc. How to do SIVR process, whom to contact, how to go to integration team. So all these job aids are coming up. We are working pretty hard in order to create these things as detailed as possible and store them for your reference. But just let us give some time, to get all these things, well conceived, documented, reviewed, and rolled out to you guys. Okay. So that's the effort. I think we did not get Salita back on. That's okay. Any questions? I'll give you six minutes to ask questions so I can explain, more details to you.
Not
Hi,
in this.
Naren.
Go ahead.
Everyone, please for my
Salita, you're
sister.
back. Good. Okay. So I
Yes.
covered anyway. So that's okay.
Great. And
Yeah, we understand tech snags. Yeah. Nilima, you have something?
Right. Once BCCT document is done, I have to send an email to PMO to book the slot. And when are the scheduled review sessions on our calendars? When do we have those?
That's what I was moving away from it, right? No more review sessions. So please go through the document as detailed, as intent as possible. Complete the document to the fullest extent with the quality, right?
Okay.
We used to have the review meetings trying to help people to go through the first cycle of presenting a BC document, but eventually it is your document, right? It is your document. You are consolidating your ideas and thoughts and interactions, the efforts and costs. So you know it better than us. We may be ending up only asking questions, so you will go back and redo the document. So think that every line of the document is being questioned, and then you will get the answers, pump the document there, the details into the document. As far as the slot is concerned, we have pre-scheduled slots, but you can definitely send an email to us. We'll reply back the next BCCT documents, but the schedule is available on our EPMO SharePoint site. You can definitely refer to that. Let's say you want to go on the second BCCT meeting in May. Now just mention that and send an email. We'll take you as one of the candidates and we'll confirm you on that.
Okay, in that meeting, we need to present and get approval on that?
Yes. Yeah, the next steps are like study the document, download the latest version, interact with all the teams, fill the document to the fullest extent with the best quality content, approach the PMO team for your slot booking. Once a slot is confirmed, then come with your team. Like I said, you, your DPM, your product owner, your tech SME, whomever you want to bring in, inform us, we will invite them. They can come and present the case to satisfy the senior leadership team and their possible observations. And once that's fully done, you're approved, then we have the regular steps. The BC document approved, then we will create a project accordingly. These are standard steps then.
Thanks, Naren.
Okay. Anybody, any other questions? Okay, just to reiterate, right? So the next GPM, PM forum is going to have you a practical demonstration of how a demand can be created, how to move it between different stages, and then where it should be when the business case is to be presented to the BCCT, how a BC document can be downloaded, filled, can be communicated with the PMO team for the slot booking and all that stuff, okay? And what happens after the BCCT team approves, what happens next, you know? How the demand moves into approved stage, how a project is created, and how the WBS is created, mapped to a client accounting, and how the active project is handed over to the PM and the GPM to carry on from there. That entire cycle would be covered in the next GPM PM forum, okay? So don't miss it. It will be quite exciting to know that those steps, you know, one by one, and so you will not have any issue later, okay? Okay, anybody has any other questions? Otherwise, you know, we have just a minute and a half left. You have all the links to the SharePoint site, the EPMO content, and the various links that are there on the source. Any particular thing that you are going to look for, you can always refer to these links. You have the email ID there, PMO forum meeting times are there, and then how to create a PMO request. Okay, try to get the PMO request as one of the habits that you develop. So you will get a email confirmation about the data, about the information, right? Verbal communication is good to have, but the problem is you will not have anything in writing. After 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you want to get that information, you won't have anything. But an EPMO request, once created, will reply back to you with the details, so you'll have for reference, you know, even at a later point of time. Will the deck be provided for reference? Yes, we can share the deck. It's definitely advantageous to you to know it. We can share the deck to the meeting invitees. We'll send it out to you. Okay, so we're reaching the top of the hour, and I think this was a very good interaction, having the specific topics that we covered with ICOE, but we are going to have multiple special topics that we are covering in the next few sessions. So please make to those sessions, because you have a lot of other teams coming in, the Testing Center of Excellence, BCDR, then PIA team, CSRC team is coming back again for the security review topics. So stay tuned and try to attend to those sessions, okay? Thank you. Really appreciate your presence. Thank you.